Welcome to Transcendent Leadership. We bring together top leaders and experts to share their unfiltered truth about the journey to self-actualization and the path to heart-centered leadership. You'll hear raw lessons, learn ancient wisdom, and practical steps to rise to your fullest potential. Now is the time to walk into this new paradigm of leadership. Let's transcend together. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Transcendent Leadership. I'm your host, Carissa Johnson, and I already started to record this another way, and I tripped up because I'm feeling a little nervous sharing this, and I guess I'll reframe it as excited because I'm stepping into a new level of expression, a new level of authenticity, and a reclamation of my artistry, my creative power, not just in the world of what I can create, but words and language and dance and this really creative side of me. And I want to start off this episode by sharing something that I wrote the other day that feels really sacred. And then I want to talk about why it's important for me to share this and why I believe it's most important for you to tap into this creative power as well. Darling, climb out of the dungeon you've been hiding in. Your starving soul is eager to be satiated. The madness that's been brewing inside is your bold artistry ready to be born. You're a wild warrioress ready to divinely destroy that which has detained you. Unafraid to get a little disheveled and dirty, stand up. Take a single step toward the sweetness of the new story that's alluring you. Wipe your weepy eyes and you'll begin to see so clearly that what's on the other side is utterly sublime. It's your destiny. Everything you touch will alchemize and come alive. Each word you speak will reshape reality into its rightful nature. Each sensation that pulsates through you will release pressure and burst into undeniable pleasure. It's the rhythmic rapture of your heart's yearning. Nothing is off limits. You get to devour all of it. Embrace the sacred and the sultry, a breathtaking human experience so juicy that it provokes others to perceive truth from a new point of view. Remember, all of you, a life of your own volition is your greatest creation. You have full permission. You have full permission. That felt really good to read for me right now because there is a huge, massive, explosive awakening happening across the planet where we are coming into remembrance that we have overvalued our masculine side, and not just the masculine tendencies and the patriarchy. I mean the logical, the rational, the reasonable, the linear way of living. And in the feminine side is this artist, this creative, this expression, this wild primal nature where words want to pour out, where we want to run around in the dirt dancing, where we want to just get wild and free and connect with nature. This is what I'm awakening to. This is what many of my clients are awakening to. I've received multiple messages in the last 2 weeks from clients saying, I literally want to burn down my entire business and retire, go to Costa Rica and build a regenerative farm. If that is also you, you are not alone. You also don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. You don't have to burn everything down in order to create something new, but you might need to go through a reconstructive process. This was exactly the process I went through 2.5 years ago. If you've been following my journey for quite some time, then you know that I took 4 or 5 months off from client work, from programs I think I was podcasting a little bit. I'm not sure. I think I might have taken a little bit of a break. I actually don't remember entirely because it was such a blur. But I took time off to come into right way with myself to understand who is Carissa. Because for many of us, if we identify as light workers or transcendent leaders or new earth walkers, people who are ready to help the earth transcend into a new level of consciousness, a new dimension of reality, which is not just spiritual, it's also science that this is happening. You may have had a really difficult life growing up. You may have come here with a lot of lessons to master and to learn so that you can help the world in a greater way, which may have caused you to grow up really quickly, and you may not have had a childhood or one that involved a lot of play and curiosity. You may have gotten into drug abuse and things like that, which was something that was part of my journey. And because of all those things, it might have inhibited you from getting to really know who you are. Because without play, you don't have that curiosity and that inquiry around who am I? Who is life? What is life? You're told a certain thing and you believe it. There's a lot of programming that happens. And when you grow up, you kind of take life really seriously. And you shape an identity around this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this very linear way of living and thinking. And so if this was a part of your journey and your story, it would make sense to me that later in life, you may be confused about who you are, about what you love, about what you value, about what matters, where you actually want to go, what kind of success is most important to you, what is fundamentally true for you. This was my journey. This was my awakening. This is the depth of another layer that I am coming into right now. And I'm really wanting to rid myself of all of these labels of the coach, of the healer, of even some ways the podcast host, or the woman who does these things. It's starting to feel so limiting for me to have one narrow-minded 3D box-like identity. I don't fit in a box. I am not one-dimensional, and neither are you. And so what Spirit has been telling me that I'm really hoping lands with you, and the way that it has landed for me, is that you are the artist. If you're going to identify with any title right now, let it be the artist. You are the individual who's creating life. You're creating love. You're expressing emotion, evoking. This is our purpose here on earth, is to create. We get so caught up in what is my purpose? What am I here to contribute? What if we weren't here to contribute anything and we were just here to love, and we were here to experience, and we were here to create? And we were here to just create that which brings our soul alive, that which we feel most inspired by, that which we want to share. There is no measurement of how good it is. There is no person judging it. There is just embracing in the beauty of it. You think about some of the most revolutionary artists of our time, Picasso. You look at some of his art and you're like, what the hell is that? It doesn't always need to make sense what we're creating, especially when you are a transcendent leader, somebody who's revolutionizing humanity and blazing a trail. What you create is not going to fit old constructs. Ooh, this is a really profound, as I'm saying this, I'm like, Spirit is speaking through me right now. What you're going to create is not going to fit old constructs. So you're going to look at it and you're going to measure it by an old standard of beauty that is just an illusion anyway. And if you're constantly measuring your creation by an old standard of beauty, you're not helping shape humanity into what is actually beautiful, which is the imperfections of life, which is the leaf that has a little bite from a bug that was hungry, or the plate that has the child's messy hand all over it, or the paint that just gets spread all over a canvas because a person has a lot of emotion and they don't know how to translate it into one thing. We are redefining beauty. We are standing in the truth of what is actually authenticity. We are becoming the artist of life. We are remembering that is what we really are. And I think about the transition that I have taken and continue to take in towards this path. And it has not been easy because I'm going against the grain. I am walking a path that I do not see other people walking that I can follow. And nor would I want to follow anyone else. I've gone down that road. I've done that thing. It is boring to me. I don't want anybody else's version of success. I don't want to express like anyone else does. It is dull. When you experience that level of flatness, of apathy, of dullness, it's usually because you're out of touch with you, with your heart, with your desires, with your love, with your passion, with what makes you you. And so as I've walked this path, it has been scary. It has been unsettling and uncomfortable to look at other people and say they don't have the version of success that I want. They don't express like I do. They don't say the things or speak like I do. They don't market like I do and say that is my greatest gift. My greatest gift is that no one is me. That is my contribution, is the way that I be. If this was going to be spoken word, it would create a legacy. This is art, the way that I'm speaking, the way that I'm transmitting, the way that we are showing up in every single moment, just saying, how do I want to be right now? Not who I was, not who they are, but who I am. I am is two of the most powerful words that you can say, period. To yourself, to others, even your thoughts make that reality. They shape that reality. So as you come into your greatness, realize that we are transitioning, we are transcending, we are rising above everything that we've been told that we think we need to be. And loving that which we are, which is truly just beauty. In all of the mess, in all of the wild, in all of the ways we show up like a child, that is who we are. And Brené Brown says this so beautifully. She says, authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. I thought I was supposed to be this person. I talked about this in the last podcast episode around my vision of, I thought I needed to be like Tony Robbins in order to be significant. I thought that I needed to be traveling nonstop and writing 10 books a year in order to be valuable. I thought that I had to be making X amount of money in order to be worthy. I want those things. I want to be a world-class leader. I will write books and I will have a significant amount of money so that I can give back. But because I desire it, not because I believe that's who I need to be. Our art is what's going to change the world. When we think about the most ancient times, Egyptian, the Renaissance, like they were creating art, and we have lost touch with that. We have lost touch with the words and the poetry and the way that it unites us. It's even been some sort of a judgment that I've had with myself because I'm a storyteller. I'm a poet. I am a healer, a channeler that transmits energy and frequency and wisdom from the higher realms. So while I identify as being smart, I don't often refer to frameworks from books. and say, oh, this thing by David R. Hawkins is this framework, and that's okay. That's somebody else's medicine. That doesn't mean that I'm not smart. It just means that I express in a different way, and I express through stories. I express through poetry. I express through love. That's the way that I be. We are redefining smart and success. We are redefining every single paradigm right now. And it is part of the reason why it feels like the world is collapsing, because it is. We are changing so much that the world that we are going into is far beyond anything we could ever imagine. And I'm reminded of this story that Richard Rudd told on a podcast with Blue, Deja Blue. And it was about humanity. And it was about exactly what I'm talking about, which is part of the reason why I feel so inspired, because it was like, it put words to what I've been thinking, what I've been experiencing, what's been alive for me. And he talked about how the dragonfly is a nymph in the lakes, and it is somewhat of a predator its whole life. And then one day, for whatever reason, it starts to want to crawl out of the water, and it goes onto this leaf. And then the sun beats on it and activates a certain DNA sequence in its body that shifts it into the dragonfly, where the back starts to open up and this hydraulic transformation happens. And then it has wings, and it literally is able to fly out in the world. It starts out in the water and then becomes an air being. That's what's happening right now. And we are starting to climb out of the water, being like, why are we doing this? Where are we going? And nature is going to activate us. The consciousness of this humanity is getting elevated to a place where there's something dormant that's going to shift within us. And we are going to become beings that are far beyond what we ever imagined humanly possible. And so it's going to require us to really listen to the passion of our heart, to listen to the spirits above us, to listen to the God within us, to listen to nature, to be with that. Nature doesn't force. Nature doesn't need to change just because. It does because of evolution. And we are feeling the brux of that. We are feeling the transformational energy that is happening from within us. And like the dragonfly or the nymph, we are climbing out of the water saying, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm wanting to do is write poetry. I don't know why I just want to tell stories all the time. I don't know, but I know that this is authentic for me, and I can trust that. I can trust my authenticity, because we are creating a new way of being. This is what is happening within us. These keys, these sequences are activating within us and showing us a new world, but we have to be brave enough to walk it. We can't continue to deny that these things are important to us. Music and art and community and being in nature. And so it's going to require you to reconstruct yourself, to climb out of your dark hole or the dungeon, like I was saying, and stand up, to defy all of what has detained you, to offer yourself permission to be that which is really you, to feel the pleasure in the discomfort, to feel the pleasure in the transition, to not know exactly where you're going. This whole podcast has literally been like a spoken word. I've been rhyming in ways that I literally have none of this written down, because I'm speaking from my heart. I'm speaking from my authenticity. And that is the greatest leadership, is when we lead from the truest and purest part of our being. It's so powerful to be in this place with all of you right now. We are in a historic time in history, where we are equally remembering the power of our ancestors, of these ancient ways, and coming into contact with these very advanced technologies and embracing them and learning how to co-create and live with all of it. This is why healing is important, because we need to have discernment of why we are doing things, where we are coming from, and why we are wanting to go to certain places. In the next couple weeks, I think I want to record a podcast on artificial intelligence because I've really started to reshape my perspective on it. Because it's not that artificial intelligence is going to kill us. It's going to change our world. It already is, and it's happening very fast. But it's people using artificial intelligence. It's things that are happening in the world that we need to look out for. So it's discernment that we have within ourselves, but only when we can connect to our authentic nature, what we believe, what we want, what we see for the world, can that actually shift where humanity is going. This isn't the first time we've had this level of advancement. The Industrial Revolution, when all of these machines started taking over people's jobs. We will adapt and we will learn and we will grow. And in some ways, we may need to go through a collective dark night of the soul in order to get there. And whatever that looks like, we have to remember we signed up for this human experience. And that the aliveness that we will be able to walk through life with will come from creating art, will come from loving each other, will come from what's true for us. So in this episode, I really want to invite you to be fucking weird. Wave your weird flag in the air. Wave it around like you just don't care. And show these parts of you for you. Because the best way to feel misunderstood in the world is to not be who you really are. Because once you wave your weird flag, like I'm learning to do, especially over these last couple of months, I can't complain that I don't have a deeper community because I wasn't open to being me, talking about how I channel spirits, sharing my poetry, sharing my sexuality and my sensuality in a way that's art and poetry. These things really matter, and we're remembering that they really matter. So wave your weird flag, offer yourself permission, and you will see how we will all band together in this unique expression, and we'll be able to walk what may be through some challenges and some difficulty as the world transitions. Our heart will guide us. We are protected, and the way to enjoy it is through authenticity and expression and creativity and being the artist. Just be the artist. If you woke up every day and said, I just want to create versus I have to go to work, I have to do these things. I have been relabeling that like I'm not working anymore. I'm creating art, I'm creating transformation, I'm creating love, I'm creating wealth. I'm not working towards any of these things anymore. Not that I'm not putting energy toward it, not that I'm not really holding goals and visions, but I am not choosing to hustle. We have a powerful magnetic field. I am a force of creation, and I will create. I will create what it is that I want, and I will help create a different world. And it is through my authenticity and my art that I will do that. So sit with, what is your artistry? What is your creation? What's calling you that you have been denying right now? It is a thing that we are often denying, which has the greatest medicine in it for us and for the world. Lean into that. Love that. Share that. I can't wait to see what you create in the world. And if this episode really landed with you, I invite you to share it with other people. Share this message. Write us a review. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And it would mean so much to us to get these messages out to the world. Thank you for being on this journey with me. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.